Good morning.
Good morning, good
afternoon.
evening.
Oh, you're gonna intro. Go ahead.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's another edition of London Ascending, where we find ourselves tonight in the Toreador domain, where Camilla Fortescue is invited by her primogen to talk about her ambitions.
And Camilla will arrive on time, in the sort of pinstripe suit you see in the pictures there.
As she arrives, in the at the location, she can see a normal housing block. It doesn't look at all like a restaurant. But when she approaches closer, she can see security cameras in the area, and she can see a what do you say? Some security block where you have to type in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And as you walk up to that location to enter the building, the door opens without you having to push in any key. Obviously, you're being watched as you enter. The doors which open as you approach make a, well, reasonably loud hissing sound, like they need to unlock. As they unlock and they swing in open, you can walk inside.
Camilla's footsteps are quite signature. She has kind of a military walk. Echoes in her hard, like leather shoes as she walks down,
Right
looking around.
after you step from outside to inside, the door closes behind you again with the same hissing sound. On your left hand, there's an area where you can, if you want. On the other side, there is a stand maitre d' would stand, but there's no one there. In front of you, there's another set of two double doors, obviously not as heavy as the doors you just went through. When you step through those doors, you enter a larger area. In this larger area, the the room is clearly equipped as a elaborate dinner room. Multiple tables are shoved to the side against the walls, and in the middle there is a table set up pristinely for a dinner for two. When I say pristinely, you can see several layers of plates, 4 layers of cutlery on each side, 4 different types of glasses on the respective places. And as you look at this table, at that table, you recognize a man as Mr. Peck, sitting there waiting.
Camilla will walk into the room, just sort of giving it a quick survey around to see if she can see anyone else apart from Mr. Peck in the room.
No one.
When
you
she
can't
gets
see anyone else.
When she gets level to the chair, the empty chair, she will bow to him.
Mr. Peck simply gives her a quick smile and says, "Please, please, come, sit. Can I offer you something to drink?"
She nods. Thank you.
Mr. Peck will rise up from his chair and walk over to his kitchen. As you walk where he's going, he'll walk from your position, how you look at it, to the right, and then I'll have to walk partly behind you. As you follow him, you can clearly see that he walks into an open kitchen where you could see him. You can see him prepare the wine into 2 glasses. They come back with 2 glasses. And he'll give you one. And then he takes his seat back.
She takes it in her hand, sort of adorned with a navy glove to match the suit.
Mr. Peck will look at Camilla and say, "So yes, I'm happy you found your way towards my restaurant. I just started using it a few days ago as a place where I do my private meetings. Henceforth, the singular setup."
The corner of her lips quirk into sort of a small smile. And she says, "It's quite the impressive building, Mr. Peck."
Ah, well, in my possession for so long, I might as well use it.
I presume you have questions for me.
Oh yes, several. But the first one is a simple question, but how do you do? How are you?
I'm well.
Good.
I
I'm happy to
enjoy
hear
being
that
back
you're
in
well.
London. I missed London when I was away. It's nice to be back.
Yes, just a long saying go. You can take the person out of London, but not the London out of the person. Mr. Peck will sip from his wine and then simply say, "Are you going to stay?"
I will stay as long as my queen requires me, yes.
Well, that's a rather difficult footnote. I understand your loyalty, obviously. What I mean is, are you here to stay, or do you think the Queen has any reason to send you away again?
I have no reason to believe that she wishes me to leave the city. She called me here from the Americas to assist her with our issues with the Sabbat.
Do you have the intention to take any position in the city?
She takes a sip from the wine and nods. She says, "I hear rumours that our sheriff wishes to retire, and if that be the case, I would hope that I impressed enough for the Queen to allow me to take on his stead."
Obviously, I'm not against you wanting to thrive out and gain position in favor of the Queen. Taking the sheriff's position, I think, would be a great fit. However, I think that you must then dive in something you don't particularly like very much, Camilla.
She raises one of her thin blonde eyebrows at him.
If you want to achieve that position with all the might that is within your possession, I assume you will have to start doing serious politics, making agreements, making trades, tits for tat, and so on and so forth. To take
Normal.
that position, I think none will disagree that there are a few that are more deserving than you. And I think many would say that yes, it is yours. However, we already own several positions within the court. As well as, obviously, Prince. Do you think you have it in you to sell your new position to other court members?
I think in a time of uncertainty, in a time of treacherous behaviour, a knight like myself is just what the city needs.
The problem with knights is that they aren't so noble. And although I do not question your nobility, I question the willingness of others to accept your nobility as something they want to be. How do you say? They want to really care for much.
The question is whether or not people may follow me as a leader.
That's what I said. Politics. What do you offer them when you assume the position as sheriff and try to stay away from words as fairness and nobility and knightlyhood? What do you offer which any regular gangrel, Bruja, Malkavian, or Ventrue can't do?
She smiles thinly at him, sort of studying him a little bit. And she says, we have many interesting kindred amongst us.
We have, of course.
We have headstrong Gangrel, fiery Bruja, ambitious Markavians. She says, sort of playing with the glass a little bit, the stem of the glass.
When you say this, obviously, Mr. Peck knows with every single word or combination of words, I know exactly who you mean.
None of which, I feel, serve the correct manner in which the tradition should be held. There is great admiration in me for fierceness and unconventionality, but that is not for the realms of the position of sheriff. The position of sheriff is to be held to keep the status quo between the two realms, the differences of the clans. The foremost against our enemies of the Sabbat. Now arguably our dear keeper, Mr. Nygaard, is impressive in his investigations, but sometimes a more careful approach, a more tactful, tactical approach is required. My own investigations have proved fruitful, and my collaborations with the Regent and Lady Solholm, different clans, have proved to be good workings. We were able to bring down the blood-hunted Assamite in one evening.
Yes, I wonder what you would do if your opponent would be more elusive. The point is, you've given me a recent example of what it could be. And yes, that did end well for us. And how did the other clans feel about your victory?
As far as I'm aware, from what they said to me in the debriefing afterwards, they were very pleased.
Mr. Peck almost seemed to sigh.
I know that Deanne
Nice.
is also a candidate. However,
Yes,
I
very so I've been told.
I hear whispers that she has some displeasing views.
Really? And what kind of views may it be?
I've heard the word anarch bandied around.
In what context? As in she murdered 12,000 anarchs, or she has had dinner with an anarch and they are raising rebellion?
Perhaps her political stance or her current war of words with our seneschal is
Can
to
you
blame.
back this? Can you back this claim up?
I have no evidence that she is an anarch sympathiser. Only
Then
that
where does the rumor come from if there's no evidence? I mean, obviously someone must have spoken to you at some point about something, if you know what I mean.
she sips from the wine again and she says, Deanne likes to tread the line. She is firm and fierce in her independence and yet wants to be part of our rules and regulations. She's either one or the other, in my opinion. You either conform to the etiquettes and rules of Camarilla, or you live on the outskirts as an independent, safe from our laws, but not protected by our... She sort of does a clutching motion with her hand. You cannot have it both ways. And the last thing we need is an officer with bandying respect for his or her superiors. But perhaps...
Mr. Peck was smile and simply say, "So you're telling me that we should have um, a less sympathetic sheriff, especially when it comes to anarchs." Is this your
Well,
gimmick? Is this why people should vote for you, should choose you as the new sheriff?
there is no voting in place. It is the Queen's
Well, you know what I
choice.
mean. Of course. And the Queen has recently favored Diane twice, either by giving her the possible training of Sebastian, and of course, she is favored because she is now the champion of our city. I think that's pretty strong for an independent.
Quilla smiles.
Look, I don't want to give any more dots than she's really worth. However, I do feel, as I should say, that we either have to make a choice, or we find her a nuisance and uninteresting for what we do, or we find her interesting enough to either make an agreement with or even openly oppose. Whatever we do, it will affect our position within the court, mainly our position when it comes to how we are viewed by the court.
Quilla has sort of a thoughtful look, a thoughtful look passes her gaze. He seems to be
See, although we
assessing.
have vicious Malkavians, we have Gangrel with an attitude and lying scoundrels like Ravnos knocking at our doorstep. We still hold multiple positions within the court. I am simply wondering, not saying that you're not worth to think as a good person for the position, if it might be politically smarter to hand the reins to someone else to see how they do, and if they fail, we could always take over. And I'm not specifically talking about Diane. To be honest, I find it preposterous to think that Diane could survive in the political minefield that we find ourselves in on a daily basis.
Out of character now, I can't remember the former sheriff's name. Her predecessor, well, the predecessor, our current sheriff, is a gangrel, no doubt, but he is, in his true intentions, Camarilla. Diane is not. I will not have someone take the position who does not respect our traditions and our laws and our way of life. Someone who openly makes a mockery of our Queen's lineage and who openly defies our seneschal. She makes a mockery
Well,
of the cities.
Matheson Haas, as is our sheriff, he is a accepted gangrel within the city and is considered one of the most loyal subjects of our queen.
She nods.
If we exchange him for, do we get the same loyalty? I think not. If loyalty is the gimmick that you want to propose, then it will be very hard to get every single clan behind you when you go for the position. However, I think that you can get the ones you really need.
It's not just loyalty, my Primogen. It's also her. True enough, she's good at working with her own, but she's proven to cause friction when placed and working amongst others. She doesn't seem to like to work with other clans.
Well, that's the thing. You, like I started in this conversation, have the knack to be able to talk, behave in a way that you can make dealings with fellow kindreds of other clans. Again, I believe that if you want to survive within this society, doing what you do, it might be advised as wise to start looking into things that other people want, so you can be the person that assists them with it.
She nods.
If you find yourself doing this kind of politics, submitting to the will of some to achieve something greater for yourself in a later moment, you might make a fine sheriff yet.
She tips her, sort of tilts her glass towards him in a sort of toasting gesture.
You will do the same.
And then takes us another drink from it.
I suggest you go out there and mingle, especially with the high clans, Tremere, and fellow Toreador if you can, and see how you can assist them to assure your support and maybe stopping any sort of counter setups for other sheriffs or potential sheriffs that are willing to step up. Also, since the Malkavians has so crawled up from the wretches they came from, I suggest talking to our seneschal and Miss Christina, the now new Malkavian Primogen. A very, very beautiful woman. So I should to watch yourself when you approach her.
She sort of not bares. She doesn't bare her teeth, but she does this sort of like toothy smile. And she says, "I have yet to meet the Lady Primogen, so that should be interesting."
Indeed.
The regent and I have a good working relationship, as do I and the seneschal, so conversations with them should not be hard to forge.
No, it's not the forging I'm afraid of. It's the coming through an agreement, especially by the Tremere. It's what I'm most afraid of.
Slippery. Always slippery, the Tremere.
They are indeed. Also, our greatest and non-visible enemy are still the Ventrue. I am not 100% convinced that they not silently support to remove our queen from the throne. It's a feeling I can't shake, so I'd rather have us be aware of it. Nothing has come up yet, but then again, we did not see the last attack coming, and the last few that have attacked us at close contacts with the Ventrue that the Queen removed from the city in the 70s.
There's a slight tensing of her jaws, she nods. And again, that expression that portrays this thoughts processes going on in her brain. I will think carefully about what you have said and act in the coming nights.
Mr. Peck will simply smile and say, "It's not bad to have ambitions. Not bad at all. Just remember that your ambitions do, in a way, represent us all. So as soon as you take this position as sheriff, other positions automatically become less favorable for us.
She nods.
But to be honest, you have my support in gaining the position of sheriff. If you can restrain yourself from submitting the city to your nightly hooded codes, simply because I don't think that you will thrive better with a sheriff that is looking to punish those who do not think alike herself.
She smiles at him again. It's kind of a directed sort of look in it. And she nods, keeping her thoughts to herself on that matter for the moment.
Mr. Peckle simply smiles. He said what he needed to say. And then says, "So, I hope you'll find yourself time to report to me about your findings in the next 2-3 weeks to a month, to make sure that everything can be arranged for your final ascending into the position as sheriff."
As you wish.
Good. Mr. Peck will then raise from the chair. He will smile at her and say, "Then, until we meet again, I should say."
She stands as well. And offers him a respectful bow.
Mr. Peck will walk along with her toward the outside, at least till the entrance of the door. As they come close, he opens the door. The loud hissing sound commences again, and when she now passes the door, she can clearly see the thickness of the door. He will then simply say, "I bid you a good night."
Good night. And she will head back walking in the direction that she came from. And that'll be the moment we end the scene, unless there's anything else.
Nope, I'm fine.
Alright, thank you for playing, thank you for watching. Until next time.